Good evening. Welcome to the November 25th edition of Sports on Sunset. I'm James Jericho.
I'm Dark Man.
Darker tonight than normal. Let's get started with some NFL quick takes. Steelers fans are already talking about the loss today to Cleveland, about how it's not a big deal because they were running their third-string quarterback out there. Don't buy it for a second. It's true that running your third-string quarterback is going to hamper your offense, but not to the tune of 8 turnovers, including, I believe, 5 fumbles. You know, and on top of that, all 3 top Steeler running backs fumbled that day. You needed your running game to survive. All year long, I've been talking about how the Steelers need to have a running game to take the pressure off of Roethlisberger. This is going to be a major problem for Pittsburgh in the playoffs, should they make it. Next take.
I'm a Bears fan, that's been noted on this show quite a few times. The NFL has got to stop preempting games. I don't care if your team is winning or losing by 40 points. Stop preempting games. I watched the Bears get face fucked last week by the Niners. This week they were doing the same to the Vikings, and they preempted the game. Y'all didn't preempt it against the 49ers. Don't preempt it now.
While it's true that a number of the rules that the NFL comes up with makes you wonder if there is a just God, those rules are there. And not only with the exception of the tuck rule, they tell everybody about the rules. So while it is indeed a stupid rule to penalize a team for challenging a scoring play now, Jim Schwartz knew. He was told. He had to have been told. The referees go to every training camp and say, these are the new rules, whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
So for Jim Schwartz to show the challenge flag is on him, not on the NFL. And I might even add, it's indicative of everything wrong with the Lions. That's an immature team taking the lead from a head coach that doesn't even know the rule book. Next take.
The next take is Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the 49ers. He has, for some reason, well, I understand why, he says he goes with a hot hand, right? As far as quarterback goes. He has 2 quarterbacks that are, I guess, starting quarterbacks now. Nick Kaepernick and Alex Smith. Jim Harbaugh, did you like it when Ditka did that to you and Tom Zach? Don't do it to these two dudes. Start one.
Actually, you're totally right. That's where I was going to go next. Let's go with something else because, look, there were a number of things here that were noted today in the afternoon games. The remarkable tank job that the San Diego had against us. And I also hate going back to what is my favorite team. But I find it interesting that the owner of the Oakland Raiders, Mark Davis, has a little bit of his old man in him. After the game last week, he said he was, quote, pissed. Asked about the status of GM Reggie McKenzie and Coach Dennis Allen, he said they were under contract next year. The press took that as a legitimate endorsement of both. What? That's not an endorsement, folks. That's, you're on notice. And with a team that for the last month has allowed at least 40 points a game, average, they allowed just 30, they allowed 34 today, big whoop. Blow that thing up yet again. Next take.
The Colts have their coach has leukemia. He's been famously fighting it for like the last 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
Today, 2 cheerleaders decided to shave their head in solidarity after raising $22,000 for the leukemia research. And to that I say, congratulations. That is the best thing the NFL has ever done. Even if it was just 2 women shaving their head, that's the most honorable thing the NFL has ever done. Not integrating the sport, not hiring a female ref as a replacement ref. No, these 2 ladies giving let's see them dance next week at next week's game bald-headed. Let's see if the NFL shows these 2 ladies still dancing for the Colts. I'd love to see it.
Let's switch over to the main topic of the night. A couple of weeks ago, we had a guest, Cristiano. We talked soccer. We did not know at that time that this upcoming weekend will be David Beckham's last weekend with the Los Angeles Galaxy. It was one of the most ballyhooed moves in international sports history. And now that it's coming to a close, we don't necessarily know what Beckham is going to do next. He still wants to play. He's rich beyond belief. There's all kinds of options for this guy, and of course he's married to a Spice Girl. So that means and he's also modeled. There's a possibility to go into showbiz. All kinds of opportunities open up for one of the world's most famous people.
Yeah.
With that said, and I love the sport, it's still soccer. So what I would like to do is we're going to revisit the topic of soccer from a different angle. What is your take on the David Beckham experiment coming to the United States?
My take on it, he got rich. He got A-Rod money for soccer.
Not necessarily so, but I'll wait for you to finish.
Well, didn't he get paid like $250 million?
Not exactly.
Really? He didn't collect all that money?
I will tell you about that in a second.
Okay.
But will you finish your take?
Not only that, he got Hollywood exposure. He got, as you said, model exposure. His wife and his children were put in the best positions possible for them. He achieved a lot for himself. Didn't achieve much as far as advancing the sport across this nation.
I disagree entirely.
Really?
Here's why. David Beckham's salary was overinflated, admittedly, by his own handlers. What they were doing was they included all the endorsement deals that he was likely to get by coming to the United States. In actuality, for physically playing soccer, his salary averaged at $6.5 million a year.
Really? So he was getting Derek Fisher money.
Yeah, I ran the numbers. The average salary in the NBA. There's two different websites they budget. One group averages it at $5 million, another group averages it at $8 million for the NBA. The average baseball player's salary is $3.5 million. David Beckham coming to LA actually turned out to be the biggest financial boon for soccer in the sport's history.
Financially?
Right. I'm not saying it's a great look. Christiana, our guest last week, was saying that she made, and it caught my ear when she said that it made big news for soccer in a financial sense.
Yes. That's
true. And I still believe that it made the product better overall. There were other impacts to it. But in terms of growing the sport, and we'll get back to this in a moment, in terms of growing the sport, you have to understand, Major League Soccer, two people owned almost all of the clubs at the turn of the century.
Oh, yeah.
I
thought you meant now. I was like, wow,
yeah.
What?
But since Beckham's arrival, and I'm not saying everything is specifically due to David Beckham, but since his arrival, 6 new teams, including 2 in Canada, to bring the total of teams in the league to 19. So it was 13 before. It was barely larger than the XFL or college football conference then. In addition to that, 8 new stadiums built soccer specific since Beckham's arrival, and Home Depot Center was not one of them. That was there before. The first TV contract that was profitable for MLS. Before Beckham's arrival, their TV contracts, they were paying networks to broadcast their games.
Not bad.
Yeah. So, and also when Beckham arrived, first year that MLS permitted selling advertising on the front of their jerseys. A lot of sports, I'm not a big fan of that, but in soccer internationally, it's commonplace.
Yeah, it's given.
Yeah. So and on top of that, AEG, which owns the LA Galaxy, it said it opened a massive amount of doors for the company. They were able to talk to China because they were, quote, according to Tim Lywicki, the company known for landing David Beckham. And Beckham showed up at a meeting that they were having with the incoming Chinese president. The Chinese guards were like, "Woo, that's Beckham." They broke their military, according to Lywicki. Lywicki is known for a little bit of bluster, but But with that said, it kind of, yeah, I acknowledge that. So with that said, financially speaking,
yes,
for $6.5 million per year, and granted, he's not leaving a pauper. He's got all kinds of options, and he did get a ton of advertising money.
Yes.
That is a massive growth for soccer in the United States.
You're talking about finance. I'm talking about as far as people still not paying attention. There's a lot of people across this nation that are still not paying attention.
Yes and no. How can you possibly add that many teams in brand new stadiums, and they're averaging good crowds?
In what cities?
Oh, well, 2 of them are in Canada. Portland, Seattle, already a soccer hotbed. Houston. They went back into Florida. Philadelphia is a new team. New York was already there. They got a new stadium as well.
So what you're saying is they're going to places that already have major sports teams.
Right.
And they're being the welcome diversion away from the other sports teams.
Well, they went to Portland as well, but Portland also only has the Trailblazers. Why would you put one in Wichita? It's Major League Soccer.
They have one in Wichita?
No, that's what you're arguing. You're arguing.
Like,
you're arguing that they only went into metropolises.
No. What I'm arguing is they're aping off of places that already have for instance.
Well, that's why Walmart always lands next to a Target. It's the same strategy.
Let's say what's a popular Oklahoma City? They could have went. The Trailblazers, not the Trailblazers, the Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City, right?
Okay.
And they did so because they knew that this was a hotbed of basketball already. Kansas is not Oklahoma.
By the way, Kansas City also has its own.
Kansas City has their own?
Yes.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Well, let's go. But you were talking about attention. Now, I will acknowledge that at best, Major League Soccer is number 5 in the country. At best.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me what has kept you. You coach soccer now, but tell me what has kept you from enjoying.
Assistant coach.
I know. What has kept you from enjoying soccer up until this year? What did you not like about it?
There was nothing to identify with. I played football in high school. I was a boxer briefly. I ran track. Those were the things that interested me. I went to a hockey game at 9, and I saw 6 fights in the first period. So I was into hockey. So there was no, growing up in Illinois, there's not really much talk of soccer.
Were you in Peoria in 2007 when Beckham arrived in LA?
No.
Okay. Did any of the people that you grew up with, I know it sounds like a bad joke, but whatever. Did any of the people that you knew from there ever A, express interest in soccer before, or B, expressed interest in soccer because of David Beckham?
No.
Okay.
In fact, the people that most of the people I know still don't know who David Beckham is right now.
Okay. Even the Chicago Fire, how close is Chicago to Peoria?
Well, 2.5 hours if you're driving 80 miles an hour south.
Has anybody ever mentioned something along the lines of going to see the Chicago Fire play?
No.
Okay. Now, there with Beckham, there's definitely always been hype.
Yeah.
And there has always been some admitted douchey, modelish behavior. I acknowledge that. But there is talent.
Yes.
You now are into soccer, or at least enough. You have probably seen David Beckham play a few times on TV.
Yes, on TV.
And have you gained an appreciation for him at all?
Well, actually,
if so, how?
I gained more appreciation for his teammates. His teammates had to put up with a lot of paparazzi and concessions and the like just to have him on the team. And true, he was a great teammate for some people. That's what I hear. But other than that, like Landon Donovan was probably the best player on the team.
Do your players on the team that you help coach, they ever talk about that?
Of course.
What do they say?
That he's good fundamentally. He does the right things.
Okay. That's
pretty much all they say, and then it evolves, of course, into hey, he's cute. Hey, what? Hey, posh spice. Blah blah blah. It's a women's team, people.
I know. I've been researching soccer's history in the United States. I knew about the North American Soccer League, which of course also brought in foreign players after a while. They brought in Pele, but the NASL went out of business.
Yeah.
For the life of me, I cannot figure if you could put a finger on it. What does Beckham have that Pele did not? Or is it something that Beckham was able, or is it something that people now can do with regards to soccer that they weren't able to appreciate back in the 70s and 80s?
Back then, soccer wasn't as ballyhooed because there wasn't a lot of television exposure that there is now. Like now you have soccer channels. You got ESPN pumping it all over their channels. You got people pay attention to the World Cup now. Back then, no one was paying attention. People knew the name Pele because people were like, hey, that's the best player in the world. He's the best that's ever done it. So they watched because people wanted to watch the best that's ever done it. You know, hey, Michael Jordan, he dunks. And then you have Pele, oh, you might see a bicycle kick. So people were waiting to see the impossible. And that's why people know Pele. As opposed to David Beckham, people were like, oh, he's married to Pa Spice. That's what people say. Oh, he plays soccer. There was a movie, Bend It Like Beckham, but he's married to Pa Spice. That's what we know. He's married. Hey, there's a movie and he plays soccer and he's married to Pa Spice. Overseas, they know technically sound. He does what he's supposed to do. He's in the right position, makes the right passes. That's before he got old and had to come off the bench. But other than that,
internationally, he still starts for LA.
Well, yeah, internationally he comes off the bench, but in LA he starts. But I don't know if that says something about the LA Galaxy, where internationally he's coming off the bench and here he's starting.
Well, internationally it's the best of the best.
True.
That's the All-Star team. So we're talking about a 37-year-old guy.
Yeah.
The talent level gets a little thinner when you're not on an All-Star team. So with that said, Beckham in LA. Do you feel like you wish you had seen the guy play, in the sense that we all wish we could see the best at any sport play, like Ruth or Aaron swing a bat, Koufax or Jim Brown running. We all wish we could have seen those sort of things.
In person, yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You I realize you're probably not going to the Home Depot Center next weekend, but having said that, did you kind of wish on some level, gee, I wish I liked soccer earlier and maybe had seen the guy play?
I wish I would have saw him in his prime, because he's nowhere near his prime. This is not the Beckham that apparently bends shots past people and gets it into the goal.
He still can.
But
it just doesn't. It's just not one of those things he can do like over and over and over.
Right. This is the guy who's a model. This is not the guy who's a ferocious soccer player who you can't stop. So I want to see him, and I would like to see him at his prime, like a prime Shaq.
Is there any possibility that the financial windfall that MLS has reaped from Beckham can actually turn into something that is beneficial for the sport overall?
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope that this creates a boon where they take over the third spot, where soccer takes over the third spot, where it's football, basketball, then soccer. I hope that happens. Probably won't, though.
I can't see it taking over baseball. Hockey, possible.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them what's on your mind, brother?
What's on my mind is, I know the Olympics were this year, and we talked at length about different Olympic sports. But there's an Olympic sport that doesn't exist that I believe should. Gymnastics is judged by judges. They give you scores. You have the rhythmic gymnastics, they have scores. You have Olympic diving, they have scores. Why doesn't Olympic dancing exist? Look, the United States is well renowned for creating music and other forms of art. We need to have Olympic style dancing, because after I saw Serena Williams crip walk at the Olympics, it hit me. What would they have judged her? What would they have judged MC Hammer had he been in the Olympics? What would they have judged? We've churned out the greatest dancers on this planet. Maybe not collectively, but individually, the greatest dancers on the planet. Michael Jackson, great dancer.
Usher?
No. He's a copycat. You can't have original dancers. You got Gene Kelly and
was Astaire a copycat as well?
No.
Savion Glover.
Savion Glover. You got
Gregory Hines.
What I want to say is, I want to get to this. This came to me while I was watching clips on YouTube of Inside the Actor Studio, and I happened upon Christopher Walken, who famously was in a music video called
Freedom of Choice.
Freedom of Choice. I'm glad you said it because I was going to mess it up. Fatboy Slim. He danced all through the video. I discovered by watching Inside the Actor Studio that he was a trained dancer, tap dance. And he mentioned a movie called Pennies from Heaven that he was dancing in, that he got compliments from Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire on. They said he was a great dancer, right? So I looked up the scene. Best dancing I've ever seen in my fucking life. I want to see this goddamn movie. It's a Steve Martin movie, but I want to see this guy. Put Christopher Walken in the Olympics. That's the whole point of this. Put Christopher Walken in the Olympics for dance. I want to see this man dance. He was doing arabesques and plies and he did pirouettes. It was fucking amazing. You gotta watch Christopher Walken dance. He needs a gold medal for dance. I have nothing else to say.
Do you really want to inspire all the open mic hacks to come up with yet another reason to do an impression of Christopher Walken now?
I'd rather see them do him dancing.
That would be pretty terrible. Point.
Oh.
Guys, sometimes people die, and you want to shed a tear. And no matter how many needles I jam into my fingers, I can't shed one for Hector Macho Camacho. 50 years old and probably should have gotten capped a long time ago. Look, I can appreciate as much as anybody else going out with a little bit of style, a little bit of this, that, or the other, being unique. But let's not mince words. The Macho Man had it frickin' coming. Okay? I mean, the guy was in jail. The guy was leading a life, even at the end of his boxing career, that was just had a big neon sign over his head that said, "Hey, I'ma get shot." He was arrested the first time about like 2005 in a burglary case. He was supposed to serve 7 years in the slam. The judge trimmed it down to 1 because Camacho admitted that he was looped out on drugs at the time. Only served 2 weeks, was let out. 2 years later, that was in the U.S. 2 years later, he's in Puerto Rico with a friend, gets shot 3 times in the chest if you want it. Now, here's the interesting about getting shot 3 times. He didn't even file a police report because he claimed, hey, everybody loves me, so clearly they didn't know I was in the car. Yeah, translation, I'm coming up with any excuse imaginable not to have them come and hunt me down again. So, needless to say, the Macho Man escapes to the United States and goes Undertaker on one of his own 4 kids. Choke slammed him and mud stomped the hole and walked it dry. And then he went back to Puerto Rico and got shot last week. I'm not sorry. You're a bad guy. You got what?
Were a bad guy.
What he said. That too. And besides that, my dad hates your guts. So